Remembering Connecticut, a people on the move. Hartford, New Haven, Plainfield, and Woodstock are all familiar Connecticut names. But they are also towns in Vermont, Ohio, and Indiana. This similarity of names is not coincidence. It reflects the great migration out of our state between 1760 and 1850. The Upper Connecticut River Valley was the first target of this mass migration. Although the winters in Vermont and New Hampshire were cold and the land entirely forested, the movement of people from Connecticut soon resulted in dozens of new towns. Migration often happened along family lines, with relatives following each other to their destination. Sometimes whole towns were settled from a single Connecticut source, such as Claremont, New Hampshire, which was heavily populated by families from Bristol. In 1777, people who settled Vermont originally called their state New Connecticut, but that soon changed when they learned that an area of Pennsylvania had the same name. After 1800, Connecticut people began looking westward, and over the next several decades, hundreds of thousands of people left the Nutmeg State for new homes in the Midwest. People left most often in search of better farmland. Additionally, many families disliked dividing their holdings among many children. Therefore, one son inherited the farm, and the others sought opportunity elsewhere. Land in undeveloped parts of the country was remarkably cheap, and despite the expense of moving, clearing the land, and living off their supplies until crops came in, many migrants believed a farm in the Midwest could provide greater profit than staying behind. Migration had been a way of life within Connecticut long before people began leaving the state. As the earliest towns grew and divided up their unused land, many families moved to less settled parts of the colony. This settlement of the state's own frontier was fine, but when people began leaving the state, the religious and political establishment protested. Governor Walcott condemned the excessive ardor for emigration and chastised those who gave up the fine institutions of Connecticut for uninhabited wilderness. Ministers claimed that godlessness and vice awaited those who moved so far from established churches. But Connecticut's civil and religious leaders were wrong. The migrants did not abandon civilization, but transplanted their New England culture to the frontier. White-clabbered congregational churches appeared wherever they settled, and local governments took the familiar New England town meeting pattern. By 1831, Connecticut's dominance in the new states was so great that 39 members of Congress had been born here, even though they represented states such as Ohio and Indiana. Alexis de Tocqueville, a French political philosopher of the day, was astonished by this phenomenon. He also pointedly recognized some other Connecticut influences on the emerging nation.
Connecticut makes the clock peddler, the schoolmaster, and the senator. The first gives you time, the second tells you what to do with it, and the third makes your law and civilization. That little state you call Connecticut is one very great miracle.